Thank you very much for joining us. Let's now bring you breakfast headlines, or rather, newspaper front pages. Show's just concluded breakfast headlines, and we have Dotun Ojon in the studio with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah. Happy weekend to you.
Yeah. Happy weekend.
Happy
whenever
weekend,
it's happy weekend.
And you do both hands like this. Happy weekend, sir.
Anything for the girls.
With a stamp of the right leg.
You know, when those very, our interesting family and friends see me on the road and they greet me, before they greet me, I say, happy weekend, sir. Anything for the girls.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, let's get into it. This morning we're starting off with the Punch newspaper. On the front page of the Punch, marketers warn against disruption as Dangote plans direct fuel supply. Nogasa, Petron, Taku, Dangote. Petrol surges to 870 naira at private depot amid feud. I'm just tired. Every day this fuel petrol price is just going back and forth. Nigeria needs new constitution, not amendments, as Ekwesili says. Recovery ongoing in 1.3 trillion naira CBEX Ponzi collapse, according to EFCC. So if they recover the money, who will get money and who wouldn't get?
Like 500 million people will show up.
Exactly. Even people who no invest for CBEX.
I put my money there.
I invested. Ondo, ADC vows to challenge Aida Tiwa's appeal court victory. How suspected ritualist dismembered my 16-year-old son. Wow, this is sad. According to an Ogun driver, oil budget hits 984 billion naira after 299.8 billion naira supplementary bill. Nigeria, Ghana hold talks over anti-Nigerian protests. 2027 defections stir tension as APC, ADC locks horn. Government's FX windfall crashes 73% to 589 billion naira in the first half, H1. And finally, FEC. Federal government approves 3.5 trillion naira for roads, airports, and others. I want you to start with the conversation we had earlier with Inibehe, because I know that you're into leadership governance, and that's something that you're passionate about. The need for a new constitution. National Assembly is currently proposing amendment, a constitutional amendment exercise is ongoing. Inibehe Fiong joined us, and he said clearly that he thinks it's an effort in futility, a waste of time.
Calls it a Ponzi scheme.
Exactly. He agrees with Dr. Ekwesili. And this is, of course, based on the saying that you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. So, I don't know, do you agree with us doing a total overhaul? He's saying we should call for a complete overhaul of the Constitution, ask for a completely fresh Constitution, as opposed to reviewing what currently exists.
Okay, so your Constitution is directly tied to your mindset. So when you see the Constitution of a nation, you can read what the mindset of the nation is. Now, as long as there's no change of mindset, change of constitution will not give us the desired result. And this is what I mean. The good in the present constitution, how far have we gone with it? So and what is the probability that when we have a fresh constitution, a people-friendly constitution, that we are still going to have people who will abide by it? And I love the way you put it. Passionate about leadership simply because of the fact that I know that virtually everything rises and falls on leadership. For instance, I have walked on the streets of Lagos and I've seen the commendation that New Central is getting. And it's a product of pure leadership. And I'm extremely impressed. It's not just a subject of the books, it's a subject of leadership mindset. So when we overhaul our constitution, what is the probability that there's going to be a change of mindset? For example, I have always said it. Looking at Nigeria's situation and spending 22 years to study the country, I have come to the conclusion that most of the times we do not need new law. We only need new logic and commitment of people who will say that they are going to sit down and do what the book says. For instance, we've always heard that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. But as we have it today, the politicians have infested the judiciary to the point that even the judgments that are coming out of our court now, they are not direct enough, giving everybody an opportunity to give different interpretation. So I like the fact that people have advocated for a new constitution, which is fantastic. But beyond that, we must know that the problem we have in Nigeria is not with the books, it's with the people.
Well, it's anyway.
So that means you don't really care much about the
I just want people to be committed to what we have now. Let us do the books that we have now. Let there be consequence for anybody that goes against the book that we have now. Let us pay attention to the book. Now what we have is that everybody is just doing anything that pleases them? What's the probability that when we now have a new one, that they will not do the same thing? Because you are just not going to change your politicians. They are going to be here for a long while.
A long while, you say. FEC, federal government approved 3.5 trillion naira for roads, airports, others. What's your take?
Okay, so I think over 700 billion naira was approved for the overhaul. You talk about the overhaul of the airport, and they said that the international airport here in Lagos, and they said that it's totally different from what we've seen. We don't want patches and all of that. They want to actually bring it down to the carcass and rebuild. And for me, I've always advocated that the greatest money that will come into your country will come from the seaport. But the decision for that business will happen at the airport. When people land at your airport, your international airport particularly, it tests of the seriousness of your country and your community. You cannot continue to leave your airport anyhow and say you are developing. The concept of perception is more important than the concept of performance. And there's no better way to create perception than what you do with your airport. And I did a research. Beyond the refurbishment, beyond the rebuilding, there's a deliberate, and I'm going back to the issue of mindset, there must be a deliberate effort to match the behavior of the people at the airport, the officials at the airport, with the newness that we expect after 22 months of this project. What do I mean? I'm still on a research now, and I'm just going to talk a bit about it because I'll conclude it by December with, when I travel to Morocco. I picked 4 countries across Africa, picked from the south, from the west, and all of that, to say, okay, how do these people behave in the airport? I chose Nigeria. I chose Rwanda. I chose South Africa. This is what I found out in the last 3 months. Every step all the way in your process of going out of the country, somebody is begging you for money. We cannot have that, maintain that kind of mindset with a new airport. And I got to Rwanda, it was a direct opposite. Because I deliberately went to the official to seek for help. I was not supposed to enter their country to sleep that night, but I deliberately went there. They helped me without asking for anything. In our case in Nigeria, people ask you for not doing you
anything for us.
Well, they give
constantly
you in the bathroom.
Constantly, we have this terrible. And I was in South Africa. Now, it was in between. I discovered that the person that asked me for arm, allow me to call it arm, is the sweeper. It's totally different from the situation where somebody with high rank here is begging you for money. So I'm waiting to see the outcome of Morocco. What I'm saying in essence is that when we mention all of this money, we should not make the mistake some of our people made to think that what we turn our life around is actually the overhaul of the infrastructure. We must also pay attention. So when I see the budgetary provision for construction, I want to also see budgetary provision for reorientation of the people that are going to man some of this investment that we are having. 700 billion is a lot of money. It's a whole lot of money. In fact, it's big enough to fund any state in Nigeria for an entire 1 year. So for a project like that, we want to see that at the end of the day, it brings out the result. And the result is, number one, it must be the kind of airport that everybody wants to see. Number two, apart from the structure, we must see that it is completed within this 22 months. Because I have said it repeatedly, that one of the problems we have in Nigeria is the fact that we are not actually, what do they call this thing? We stroll on the path of purpose. They've been building certain road now, the East-West Road, since 2006. We are still struggling with it. So we do not want to see all of that.
There's
we
no continuity.
Want the commitment to actually to show at the end.
Well, that project's committed, we're seeing here. I mean, if you refer to that, on the front page of the Punch, it says federal government approves 3.5 trillion naira for roads, airports, and others. Yeah. But if we're looking at what is allocated to the airport alone, it's reflected on ThisDay newspaper, 712 billion naira for full rehabilitation of Lagos Airport Terminal 1. Yeah. And we're seeing here that the project will be executed within 22 months.
22 months, sorry.
Yes, and they okayed 213.7 billion naira for electrification of universities, rural communities. They award multi-billion naira projects nationwide. They've approved new oncology center for Ibadan, which is great, and they moved to address nurses' ongoing industrial action. Nurses have been on strike.
What about the doctors?
Yes, I mean, that's another one. Yesterday, we had the Nurses and Midwives Association saying that they had another couple of days strike. They had just come back from I think, a 15-day strike. So they had another strike that they were embarking on because of, again, the same cries, poor welfare, not feeling prioritized, and, you know, still the same arguments again. But let's hope that in the next 22 months, we'll have a different story to tell with regards to the airport.
Yeah, because one of the things that we've noticed, that I've noticed in government, is that there's a big gap between approval and the availability of funds. The Fed can actually approve now. It has to be supported with funds by the Ministry of Finance, as the case is in our case here. And my experience has shown that most of the times when you have this approval, the minister will now begin to chase his counterpart in the Ministry of Finance to be able to back it with money. And I said it that if government is not ready, if we do not have the resources, we should not announce project approval. So we hope that all of these things will be sorted. On the issue of strike, nurses strike, I think I was here the other day and I gave a solution to how we can retain our doctor. In furtherance to that, we must also know that when you have workers that have alternative, you must treat them better. As we speak now, nurses and doctors have very strong alternatives across the world. And since 2020, the health system across the world has been challenged. I don't know whether you are aware of that. Yeah. And that gives room for competent people to be able to go out of the country and work. And we have competent nurses in Nigeria. So we must continue to take a second look at their welfare, so that at least without the nurses, you cannot run the hospitals.
Okay. Let's go to another paper very quick. Okay, Olive,
Nigerian
you had
Tribune
highlighted
paper.
This Day already.
Yes, yeah, we've run
There's
through
a story there.
Okay.
NEC targets economic stimulus for over 8.8 billion people in 8,809 wards across Nigeria. Now look at this. Set to peak at least 1,000 beneficiaries per ward nationwide.
How do they select who these people are?
Okay, so in fairness, I want to pray for whosoever brought up this idea, that God will bless him, God will bless the president. I also want to pray that God will touch their hearts, that they will not politicize it. See, this one, this thing we are looking at here, has the power to change our economy. The target of this government is to have a $1 trillion economy by 2030. From 2025 now, for you to have that, that means that you must grow your economy 15% every year between now and 2030. As we speak now, our growth rate is below 4%. So that means that they have a lot of work to do. But this particular one, there are 8,809 wards in Nigeria, spread across the 774 local governments. And the ward is the nearest, what's it called, political center to the people, apart from the polling unit, because the ward produces a councillor. Now, when you look at it, when somebody argues that Nigeria is too big to be developed, the other argument will be that if you conduct election across the 8,809 political wards in Nigeria, then that means that the government knows these places. And the only way to actually develop your economy is to allocate resources to people living in these places. So that's why I think this is one of the best decisions of this government. And they said that for big wards, they are going to reach out to about 2,000 people, and for smaller wards, they reach out to 1,000 people. And there's a caveat to that. They said that they are only going to reach out to people that are economically active. It means that people who have businesses, people who have entrepreneurial spirit, people who have agricultural potentials, these are the people they are going to reach out to. If they do this and they allocate funds, you will see that there will be a direct effect on our national economy in terms of growth. But here's the fear. 8,809 wards have what they call political leaders, which is what happened during COVID. So when they ask them to pick name, it is not the president that is coming to my ward. My state has about 203 political wards. It's not the president that will come to my ward.
No.
He will first rely on the governor. The governor will rely on the local government chairman. The local government chairman will rely on councillors. And by the time they compile all of this name, you discover that 80 to 90% of them will be from one political party. That's the experience we have had. But now we are believing that because they put a caveat to that, that's not just anyhow person, it's not the normal empowerment that we have seen, that it is for people that are economically active we are believing that at the end of this Renew Hope, they call it Renew Hope something word, I forgot the name they call it, that at the end of the day, that this will pump something very reasonable into our economy and that our economy will grow. I really, really love it, and I commend the government for it.
All right, we'll take your word for it. I mean, you've said it that you love it. I mean, you've also gone into an election cycle before, so you understand how it trickles down. But like you also highlighted, one of the major fears is that who will select these people when it comes to the local government councillor? How will they select them? Will it be based on the fact that there's always ethnic coloration? Oh, you're not from this place, do you speak this, and so on. But wait till we get there. Let's also wait for the nurses. I like the fact that the nurses have been highlighted.
Been addressed, yes.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, it also shows that yesterday our data was not wrong when we highlighted our data during the papers of health. So maybe the president is listening. Yeah. Let's go to the paper.
Nigerian Tribune will be our final paper this morning. The big story on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. FEC approves 145 billion naira electrification projects for Unilag, UI, UNN, others. OK's 68.7 billion naira for second phase of solar power for rural agric centers. Approves 3.7 billion naira for upgrade of oncology center in UCH. Foreign Affairs Minister in Ghana amid deportation threat on Nigerians. We'll come back to talk on that story. Tinubu extends Adeniyi's tenure as customs CG. Ilorin cleric who killed female student to die by hanging. Wow. Then in the health section, there's new cases of skin cancer in people with weakened immunity, according to experts. Iwada's experience as REC added advantage for APC, according to Lalong. We want better salaries, not loans, ASU tells federal government. Appeal court affirms Aiyedatiwa's election as governor. 44th Olubadan, Lajaja expected in Ibadan weekend. Olubadan in council meets Monday. Nigeria, influential nation of unlimited. Nigeria, influential nation of unlimited possibilities, U.S. government says. And PDP faults arbitrary street renaming in Lagos, threatens legal action. If you go also back to the front page of the the Punch newspaper, you can see on the front page of the Punch, right beside the name, you will see Nigeria-Ghana hold talks over anti-Nigerian protests. And you see a picture of Bianca Ojukwu, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. She has appealed for calm following calls by some Ghanaians for the deportation of Nigerians from the country. A statement on Thursday by a special assistant on communication and new media, Magnus Eze, said that she spoke during a joint press conference with Ghana's Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Ablakwa in Accra on Wednesday. She said that the viral videos depicting protests had raised concerns in Nigeria, prompting President Bola Tinubu to dispatch her as a special envoy to assess the situation firsthand. She also said that we're here in the Republic of Ghana on a fact-finding mission as special envoy of President Bola Tinubu as a result of recent disturbances that have made the round in Nigeria. And she's announced that things have been brought to account. Why does this keep happening? Now, Ghana, that are our cousins, we're hearing now there's potential protest. South Africa, it almost feels like there's an opportunity. Joe, remember the name of this Operation Dudula in South Africa, saying that foreigners, I mean, those ones are not particularly targeted at the Nigerians, but we've seen in some places.
No, I peeked into the protest. They actually mentioned Nigerians and Zimbabweans. Those are the two
Africans.
Yeah,
also,
so I peeked it.
What did we do to them?
So now, here's it. When your country knows the implication of, when one country knows the implication of dealing with another country's citizen, for example, if they know the benefit that comes with our citizen residing there, nobody will want to touch you. Have you wondered why Americans are all over the places and we almost, either they are black or white, we almost create a separate space for them? It's because they are throwing their weight around. So we are the giant of Africa, and it's about time for us to wake up. And also to our fellow Nigerians, when you go out of the country, please be a good ambassador of your country. That's also very important, because we have also seen cases of people go out of their country and they try to cut corner and all of that. But in this case now, I think we must begin to deliberately rebrand ourselves by throwing our weight around.
But this rebranding conversation has been on for a long time. Yes. But it seems like it's not really working.
It will work. Our story should not be our frustration. We will continue to try as long as we know that this is the way to go. See, you cannot leave your country like this and expect anybody to respect you. When you mention the name of Nigerian government, for example, and it's not about what they are doing now or what they are not doing. It's about the fact that the conception or the misconception people have is that of corruption. They think that we are not a serious-minded people. And the only cure from that is when the government sits firm and everybody can see that this government is actually doing for the people. I was asking my friend who relocated abroad, I said, how much will you have for you to jackpada? And when, yes, and when he told me, I looked at it and I said, this is a reasonable figure. That if everything is working in Nigeria, if you are not afraid that somebody is going to come to your house and kidnap you, people will come back home and make something out of their life within our country. So beyond even building road, the essence of government is to tell the people that you are safe and secure here.
Does the federal government always also think, I mean, we're the most populous black nation, and everywhere we go to, we always stamp our feet and put our mark there, because aside from Ghana complaining, there's South Africa, the other countries you find Nigerians where they say when we come, we dominate, because that's what we are. That's what we know how to do best. Imagine if all those who dominate are here, resided here in Nigeria. I'm sure we have the potential to be like China and the likes.
Yes.
But anyway, what's your last take on that?
Okay, so we do not even need, all of us do not even need to reside here. But the good thing about it is that if we know that home is an alternative, if we travel abroad and we are certain that we can actually go back home and be safe, that's all we need. We do not need, all of us do not need to come back. The level of desperation that Nigerians display abroad, you pack them inside a bus, you want to go and deport them, they are jumping out of the window. The level of that desperation is because of the fact that they have thought or they've agreed that home is not an option.
It's not an
Just
option.
make here an option and let everybody go who wants to go and let everybody come who wants to come.
I hope that the presidency will also take note of that. I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Dotun Ojon, for being here. Friday is always explosive with you, especially as we look through the papers. And we look forward to have you again sometime next week. By the way, it's August, so welcome to August.
Thank you.
Happy New Month
to you.
Anything for
Anything for the boys.